Okay. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special event from the American Business Council on the Trademark Bill. And I know that we're all joining from different parts of the world or different parts of the country. So I would say, well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on the world you're at right now. So just quickly, before we move to the next um, part of the agenda, I would just like to introduce the senator who championed this bill before he does his keynote address. So Senator Kashim Shettima is a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And he, like I said, is a senator that championed the trademark bill. He studied at the University of Maiduguri, and strangely, agricultural economics, something so different from what you probably expect today. And then also did a master's at the University of Ibadan, a graduate program in agricultural economics. And then after that, he worked over a period of time in the private sector, in the financial institutions, ranging from Zenith to a lot of other organizations, and then eventually he got into politics and became he's a one-time governor of the of Borno State, and then obviously there's quite a lot about him. But I'll just leave that, because the purpose for which we're here today really is not about who he is, but also what he's been able to do, or also just to give you a sense of his background and to move on. So at this point, we would hand over for him to make his opening remarks.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on the environment where you are. I welcome you all to this forum brought to you by the American Business Council, Johnson & Johnson, Anti-Counterfeit Collaboration, and IPLAN. One of the reasons for addressing the trademark legislation currently is the changing international trademark landscape and the underlying economic importance of trademarks to all levels of business. Trademarks, brands, and logos do more than identify goods and services of companies, but represent the efforts of a business entity and fixes the expectations of customers. The trademark legislation provides the following benefits to the business community. One, the trademarks bill improves the overall landscape of the intellectual property policy of Nigeria. Two, the trademarks bill expands the authority of both the Nigeria Customs Service and the Nigeria Police Force in relation to enforcement proceedings against counterfeit trademarks. This is also critical to foreign businesses as it impacts on investments into Nigeria. This will allow and facilitate Nigeria's accession to the Madrid Protocol for the International Registration of Marks, also known as the Madrid Protocol. This is a simplified method of gaining trademark protection in multiple jurisdictions, which is cost-effective. What happens at present is that a person will have to file in multiple jurisdictions and pay legal and translation fees. The pharmaceutical, FMCG, creative and tech industries can benefit from the cost effectiveness of trademark registration via the Madrid Convention. The trademarks bill provides more of the same kind of quality service granted to international companies, but to local companies. For this reason, the trademarks legislation must be up to standard with the international community to encourage local players to develop their brands, thereby providing capacity for local players to expand and leverage the African free trade area. It is then critical for private sector stakeholders to share their perspectives on the draft legislation, which will ensure and drive investments into Nigeria and give local businesses ample opportunity to expand their businesses beyond the shores of Nigeria. We request the support of the private sector and advocacy groups to build awareness on this bill and provide capacity building initiatives for SMEs. I wish to thank you most sincerely for giving me the platform to address this very important gathering. Thank you, and may God bless.
So thank you so much for that. And at this point, we're going to hand over to the representative of Johnson & Johnson here, IPLAN. And I want to use this opportunity really to thank Johnson & Johnson for sponsoring this very, very important event. So I would want, well, should I introduce you? Now, Ike is a public affairs or government affairs director for Johnson & Johnson in West Africa. That's the short of a very long introduction that I'm tempted to make, but yeah, over to you, Ike.
Thank you very much, Margaret. I appreciate the work that you do over the American Business Council, and once again, I want to reiterate that we're proud to always partner with you. I work for Johnson & Johnson. I'm the Government Affairs and Policy Director for the organization. At Johnson & Johnson, we pride ourselves as the biggest and most diversified healthcare company in the world. We place a very high premium on countries having a strong high IP framework or infrastructure, which then enables businesses to grow and thrive in a strong intellectual property ecosystem. We have worked with government agencies in country, in Nigeria, basically, to identify and enforce issues around parallel imports and counterfeiting. We think that more can be done to ensure that there's a clear framework for the enforcement of these laws in country. And that is why we as Johnson & Johnson have seen the need to sponsor this conversation with the aim of moving the needle on the passage of the trademarks bill. It is our hope that with the distinguished senator also on the panel here, that at the end of these conversations, we should be able to get some kind of traction as to where the bill is, and also to understand the possibility before the end of this dispensation still. Thus, collaborating with the American Business Council in partnership with the Anti-Counterfeiting Collaboration and IPLAN, and of course the National Assembly to drive this conversation will, in our own little way, show that we truly support a strong policy ecosystem. I want to thank you all for taking our time out of your busy schedules, particularly on a Friday evening, to listen to these conversations, and hopefully we can get the conversation going, and eventually we would be able to achieve our objectives of getting a strong infrastructural framework for trademarks and intellectual property in Nigeria. Thank you all very much. Once again, I'll hand over to the American Business Council.
So we're actually waiting for the clerk of the House for the specific area of interest to join. Is joining in as we speak. So we would just hang in for a while, just for it, so that he's able to join and then share his perspectives, and then we'll have our Q&A. But just as a matter of interest, and I'm not putting you on the spot, Ike. What's Johnson & Johnson's interest? I mean, as in, why is Johnson & Johnson interested in a project like this? How does that align with the work that you do?
So basically, just to summarize what our interest is, or rather to put things in perspective, most people will know Johnson & Johnson products. One way or the other, you all have it in your homes. You have either used a Savlon or a Listerine or or an Imodium or a Benylin, right, over the years, or even the Johnson Baby range, which most families would typically have. Now, what you don't realize is that the size of the business legally in country, give or take, is about 10% of the overall market size of the Johnson & Johnson range of categories in Nigeria, right? So what this means, I won't give you absolute figures or absolute terms. What this means is that parallel imports in country constitutes over 90% of the Johnson & Johnson range in Nigeria. Now, you can argue that these are products which are not meant to be in country. These are products which come into the back door. These are products which are not registered in country. These are products, of course, definitely that we do not have control and, of course, do not have direct responsibility towards managing whatever issues, be it pharmacovigilance or direct consumer responsibility issues. So that just gives you a sense of why we see the need to ensure that there is that strong framework, that strong IP framework to address some of the issues. Now, this is just an example. There are also issues around counterfeiting, also issues around trademark and all of that, across Nigeria, across even some parts of West Africa as well. So we see that if we as a country can't have that kind of strong infrastructural support or backbone, some of these issues will be addressed, and of course, we legitimately will be able to grow the business. And this has a ripple effect also on the economy, because as your company income tax grows, the government benefits, there's legitimate employment of more people, and also all of the businesses that also will live off the giant entity in terms of distributor operations, etc. So it has a multiplier effect on the economy as a whole if you have that kind of strong infrastructural framework in place. Also, just to add, something I also didn't mention in my opening remarks in terms of how we see some policies of government being played out. So we've had interactions with stakeholders who are driving for backward integration. But backward integration then also means that there are certain variables that have to be in place. There has to be a strong IP framework to ensure that companies who are trying to backward integrate, have that measure of confidence in the economy as well. So you see, trademark, the bill itself would give us that leverage to ensure that a lot of things will begin to happen off of just getting it right in that sense. So I don't know if that has answered your question, Margaret.
Yes, it has. Yeah. So I don't know who keeps sending this message and saying others may have trouble. Okay, so I'm sure I don't know who that is, but yeah, it has answered my question, and I know that this is an area that's been of keen interest not just to Johnson & Johnson, but also companies that understand the value of protecting their trademark, their IP, intellectual property, that have intellectual property concerns and things, because again, this is pretty helpful. I know that some years ago we even had some work, not specifically on trademark, but we looked at the impact, as the council looked at the impact of the challenges around lack of overall intellectual property laws and the impact on the economy. And that work was done by PwC. So yeah, we're very keen and happy to see how we can drive and move this forward, and at least have on our radar something positive to say, okay, yes, we do have a trademark bill that seems to be on the right track, at least, and then we're able to say, what can we do to move forward with it, together as a team. Thank you so much for that. So at this point, I will hand over to the clerk of the house, who would run us through with on the bill. So over to you, Joseph, and the team from the clerk office and the clerk himself.
The bill was introduced into the Senate. In the 8th Senate, we had it. It went through the first and second reading and was referred to the committee. Was committed to a committee. the Committee on Trade and Investment, but they did come up with the report on the bill before the end of that Senate. So because of our interests on the bill, that was why it was introduced through President sponsor. It has gone through first reading and has gone through first reading. It's awaiting second reading in the Senate. And we all know what trademark is all about, and we know the objectives of trademarks to our economy. So apart from the numerous benefits that the country stands to gain from it, it also means that with the enactment of this law now, with the enactment of this law, we are sent to the Madrid Protocol. And by that section, the persons will be able to register their trademark and automatically gain protection in many countries as he chooses that are signatories to the protocol. Then the financial benefit of Madrid system, aside the biggest benefit over using conventional system, is the time and effort that will be saved. Filing through the National IP Office and International Bureau of the World Intellectual Property Organization will allow an applicant to deal with amendments renewal centrally through the same office. He will not have to go globetrotting himself, nor will he need to incur the expenses of hiring lawyers all across the world to act on his behalf. So those are the basic perspectives of the bill. So, and we hope to progress on it. After the second reading to be committed to the committee, the committee will organize for a public hearing where stakeholders will be invited. Critical stakeholders will be invited to give talk, to speak in favor or against the bill. So I think that is where all the stakeholders will have opportunity to speak to the bill, and their input will now form the basis of coming up with a report that the Senate will consider before passage.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. So I think we just go right into Q&A for people who have comments about the bill, questions about the bill to go ahead and answer.
Okay, great. If you have any questions, please raise your hand so that we can, if you've gone through the bill and have any questions, please raise your hands. Okay. So Obafemi, we'll raise you up. Give us a second.
And so what we can do is once the questions are asked, if they are not comments but questions, we can send them to the clerk for clarification, and then we're able to do more like, be the go between us and him and them.
Okay. So Bafemi Agaba has his hands raised up, so you can go ahead with your question or comment.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The distinguished senator who is sponsoring this bill, I'd like to say thank you very much for taking up this challenge. The American Business Council, Johnson & Johnson, thank you very much for coming up with this. The importance of this kind of bill cannot be overstated. Perhaps from an introductory perspective, my name is Obafemi Agaba, and I am the president of the Intellectual Property Law Association of Nigeria, IPLAN, and a partner in the law firm of Jackson, Etty, and Edu. The trademark bill, the Trademark Act that we have presently, I know we've been trying to amend it, replace it as far back as I was an undergrad studying law. So I am hoping that this will bring things to reality. My major question, as president of IPLAN, we have distributed this bill amongst our members, and a lot of our members have come back with memoranda making comments and suggestions on this bill. To a large extent, we find it very, very useful. However, there are quite a number of observations of areas where we think things need to be to have a second look at it. So what we have resolved to do is to collate all our observations into one document on the one hand, and two, also to suggest a bit of redrafting of some sections of this bill, which we can then submit to the relevant authorities managing this bill. So my first question will be, is that something that we are still able to do, to come back with a memorandum from IPLAN as our position and suggestions on the bill, and possibly also come back with modified draft based on some of our observations? I am also aware that the Nigerian Bar Association section of business law, the IP committee, is also interested in submitting a memorandum in this respect. So my questions are twofold. As IPLAN, are we still in a position to be able to submit a detailed memorandum with some suggestions of redraft? And is the IP committee of MBA SBL still able to do this? And if so, within which time frame are we able to do this? And where can we submit these to? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Obafemi. And to your question, this is really the reason why we're having this event, to look at how we can go through the stakeholders' thoughts and positions, and then we're then able to. Sorry, there's some noise at the background. Yeah, so to pull together our position documents, because obviously the trademark bill is still at the stage where we can do quite a lot. So this is the opportunity we have to put together our heads, pull together the position on these, and then forward them with the right level of urgency that honestly I believe that this requires. And I always say that more than ever, this is the best time. A pre-election year is a good time sometimes for most times actually, to push bills of this nature. So yes, to your question, this is the time to put together all these documents against the public hearing that would eventually happen, and even before the public hearing. So again, we would seek for more questions or comments as we move on.
Okay, then a number of questions participants shared. So I would like to ask Pat to respond to them. So the first question is, when does Nigeria plan to join the Madrid Protocol? Going through the bill makes emphasis on TRIPS, makes emphasis on the Madrid Protocol. So it will be critical to know if there are plans for Nigeria to join the Madrid Protocol itself.
Okay, I'm not sure that question should be for the clerk. I don't know if he knows. Yeah, but I don't know if the clerk knows if Nigeria should join the Madrid or has joined. I'm not sure if that, but if he's able to tackle that would be great. So next question or comments, Joseph?
Okay, Shegun has his.
Oh, please, hands raised. Okay, Shegun, please can you go ahead?
I would like to advise that there should be more stakeholders awareness programs about this bill, because I only got to know about it through the Chambers of Commerce, ICC, from Nigeria side. But within the OPS sector, I'm talking about NACIMA and the Chambers of Commerce. Those members are going to be affected by the provisions of this bill. I think it will be appropriate to extend the awareness to them And then I also want the bill to take into consideration the tech innovation sector in Nigeria, because there are a lot of innovations and intellectual properties, you know, ideas and what have you. So I just want to appeal that if we can have an inclusive awareness that cut across the various sector, I think it will be a very good idea. I also want to say this by a way of caution that this bill has a global impact, and then it has also a tendency to checkmate our innovations if we do not have a wider participation in the bill. So I just want to appeal to the organizer why I appreciate the effort to update the information and the provisions of law as regard the trademark. Thank you.
That's a good one.
Sorry, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. So again, this is why this is like the beginning of what I would say more engagements with the organized private sector to look at, you know, how this bill stands, what we need to do right, and some of the thoughts that we need to move from thoughts into you know, paper and pen, you know, just ahead of the public hearing. And I'm confident that we were, as the council, will be keen to be the platform that will work with other organizations to move this to the next level. We have a question here. And the question goes, is there any consideration to keeping names, identifiers of cultural and historical significance from being trademarked? Like the use of, I know about this, the use of the name of an ethnic group or an indigenous food ingredient that might be seen as owned by the community. Example, potash, egusi, amala. So is there any part of that bill which talks about, you know, takes into consideration keeping these kinds of cultural and historical names and identifiers from being trademarked? So again, I'm not sure if we have those details. I don't know if Mr. Clerk, sir, you would want to make some comments. If not, again, it is something that we will promise everyone who's on this call to share, you know, the bill as we see it, to share our thoughts as we see it, and specifically to the person who asked this question, because I know there was a time someone shared with me about the trademarking of the name of an ethnic group in somewhere that's not even Nigeria. So it is a concern. So we would be happy to reach out to you, you know, on this question. Do we have any other question? Okay, there is a question on how does Nigeria treat trademarks that are registered or applied for in Nigeria prior to application for a geographical indication in Nigeria? How does Nigeria treat trademarks that are registered or applied for in Nigeria before the application for a geographical indication? Again, we'll be happy to get people thoughts and answers into these.
Yeah, but they are practitioners that are supposed to handle this kind of questions, who are real stakeholders who have stakes in trademark this thing.
Yeah, so we have
not me, a legislative this how do I call it now?
Yeah, so that question again is not specifically for you. So that's why we're I mean, we have quite a lot of people here who are legal minds, and like I said,
yes,
if we don't get the answers now, we are very happy to move back to our team experts in that area who would, share their insights, on this. Otherwise, I can invite anyone who is on this call who is versatile in this area to share their perspective. But I would assure everyone on this call that we are able to get back to you on every question you have asked.
Okay, Obafemi has his hands raised.
Okay, Obafemi, please can you go ahead? Very well.
All right, thank you very much. I think for that question, the first thing to note is that the Trademark Act as it is in Nigeria today, however, I am very much aware that the European Union IP Office and some other related organizations sponsoring different workshops towards introducing a geographical indications law in Nigeria today. There's a draft GI bill that has been put together. And I think when that comes to pass or gets to the National Assembly and is passed, we'll take adequate care of geographical indications. What to say for now is that our present Trademarks Act has some provisions that may help a bit in protecting some of our GIs, but I think the substantive law for GI is something we are yet to have. And if that bill coming from what I had mentioned comes up, it will assist more in this direction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shegun, for sharing that interesting perspective. If we don't have any other question, we have like 6 minutes to end this. I would be very happy to share the summary. Joseph, do we still have questions from any of the stakeholders? Any questions on the chat or anywhere?
None.
Okay. So just to summarize this, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Clark. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Johnson & Johnson, for the sponsorship and, really bringing this up. And thank you for a group of the stakeholders who really had done a lot of work behind the scene to share their perspectives on the bill, looking at it in a way and manner that the council can pull things together. And I know that we have like a summary of the bill, highlights of the bill that had been put together from the clerk's office. I know that also is pretty helpful. And so what's our next step? Our next step would be to get the recommendations from the different organized private sector groups to also share our perspectives, because we do have our perspectives, put some timelines on how we're going to have these discussions ahead of the public hearing. We will definitely follow up with you, Mr. Clark, to ensure that we follow through and really see step by step how we're able to work together. Because at the end of the day, this is a bill that would help the country, whether it's for the local manufacturers or the people who are coming to invest in Nigeria. So it is a very, very important one for everyone. And so we would put together timelines, the reaching out and follow through on the next steps. Also trying to find out when that public hearing would happen, because
it has not gotten to public hearing stage yet. The next stage now is the second reading of the bill, where senators will debate on the general principles of the bill. The second reading will be presented by the sponsor of the bill.
Okay. So anyways, I'm sure we're able to send our comment for that second reading.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that insight. Thank you very much for that insight. So with this, I would say that we are like 3 minutes to the end of this meeting, and would like to once again thank the senator for making out time to really thank the the clerk for joining us and sharing his perspective. It's not every day this happens, and so we are really grateful in spite of all the initial hurdles we had to cross. No thanks to technology. And then also really thank Johnson & Johnson that shared their perspective and interest into this. I would at this point really would you like to say something before we close?
Yeah, just a quick question for the distinguished senator as we have him online. I just wanted to get a sense of what happens if we were not able to have all these processes like the second reading and all of that in this dispensation still. Would that mark the death of the bill, or would there be like sort of like a transition to the second dispensation?
Be positive.
I was just about to say the same thing.
We'll be positive.
I
We'll get it right. Yeah,
I
be
was about
positive.
I was about to say the same thing too. So again, I think it also depends on the commitment, of everyone. I can see the passion, and sense the passion of, the stakeholders on different sides of the aisle to move this forward. And I think that's what we need. And then we need to have, those kinds of information. The speed would come with the passion and with the work that both at the private sector and at the government, and to ensure that we get this going. So I concur. If to say it in the language that we know very well in this part of the world. So I would like to end this event and really thank everyone for having the patience to stay with us to the end of this. Like I said, the questions that we have, we would share answers to those who may require, and there are not so many because I believe we answered most of the questions. To thank to thank the senator once more. It was very difficult because you know how it is. This is really the election year, so everyone is not hardly available. He had to make out time because of his commitment. To thank the clerk who has been extremely committed, to move this forward. And once more again, to thank everyone who has made this possible, including Johnson & Johnson. So on behalf of the American Business Council, I'll say thank you for to all of us, including me, for being here today, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.